You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. Can Harry be rescued? Harry is in the grip of a narcissist. Susceptible to the overtures that his wife made when they first met, he, as a combination of her manipulations and his own emotional thinking, propagating his addiction to narcissist, meant that he was easy to ensnare and easy to keep ensnared. His addiction generates something called emotional thinking. This basically clouds his judgment. Emotional thinking can affect anybody that has the addiction to the narcissist, and intelligence is no defense. I have advised many very intelligent individuals who have found themselves ensnared and struggling to understand what they're dealing with, notwithstanding their evident intelligence. For someone such as Harry, who isn't that bright, it becomes all the more difficult. Add to that the fact that he has certain vulnerabilities that Harry's wife has played upon, her narcissism naturally guiding her to use them against him, and of course her main modus operandi, which is the application of lashings of spicy poontang in the beginning. Remember Harry saying how, but she's so hot and she lets you do anything. It was little wonder that he found himself ensnared. He gets the golden period. He's treated well. He thinks that he has met his soulmate. He makes rash decisions. It's likely that she told him she was pregnant early on, so that he was moved to want to marry her. Despite warnings from his brother, the reluctance of the Queen, he rushed forward. He, having perhaps felt like a little bit of an outsider, notwithstanding the way that the royal family had looked out for him, thought, I finally got somebody that's batting for me, somebody on my side. He doesn't realise, of course, that that's not the case. He doesn't realise that he's caught in the spider's web. He thinks, at long last, I can be happy. He then, like any intimate partner primary source, receives the sustained devaluation. Some days are good, some days are bad, as he gets the respite periods. But he doesn't realise what it is that he's dealing with. He doesn't realise who this is that is causing a problem for him. He doesn't realise that he's being manipulated. He doesn't realise that he was manipulated from the very beginning. Instead, he believes the problems are as a consequence of external factors, the pressure that she is under from her own family, the pressure that they're both under as a consequence of fleeing the royal family, and failing to recognise that it's her behaviour towards him that is the problem. He always attributes it to something else. And thus this is where Harry finds himself, not yet disengaged from, not motivated to escape, and therefore he continues to ride the roller coaster, whereby he's in the sustained devaluation, then he gets a respite period, then the sustained devaluation, then the respite period, up and down, up and down. There are times where he flees to the bolt hole that he has created, the hotel that he stays in. There might be times where he wanders the grounds, trying to stay out of her way. Other instances where he wants to try and smooth things over when she's sulking with him or is lashed out. Occasions where there is the joint public appearance and he feels that everything's going well, but he doesn't recognise that he's in a sustained devaluation. He would just think at times that it's the weight of the world on her shoulders, that it's the difficulties that she's experienced as a consequence of family problems. But then there comes the question that as he sits there, mired in the sustained devaluation, so many other people know what has happened to him. So many other people, particularly within his family, now understand who he is involved with. And thus, the question becomes, can he be rescued? It is commonly the case that I am asked by many people that I consult with, can they rescue the person that has been ensnared by the narcissist? Occasionally, a friend of the victim contacts me, recognising what has happened to their friend, that they've entered an unhealthy relationship with somebody and they believe that person to be a narcissist. the most common instance is where I'm contacted by family members, where a son or daughter has fallen under the sway of a narcissist who has then isolated that person from the rest of their family, exactly the way that Harry's wife has done with Harry. That family member has perhaps started to turn against them, even where the narcissist has behaved badly towards the extended members of the family. The victim basically shrugs and says, "What can I do? I'm caught in the middle. She's my wife." "But we're your family," say the family. "I know," says the victim. "But if I do this, it'll only be 10 times worse. I don't want to lose my kids, for example." And thus, in some instances, the victim knows that they've got a problematic relationship, but they still do nothing about it. In other instances, the individual will not hear of any ill spoken about that person who is the narcissist. You don't understand what we have to deal with, you don't understand what she has to deal with. Why can't you be more helpful? Why are you always causing problems for me? Cries the victim. Often, they behave badly towards their own family as a consequence of the lies that they have been fed by the narcissist, as the narcissist has sought to isolate that intimate partner primary source from their family members. With Harry, is he at the point where he could be rescued? Is he at the point that a member, for instance, of his own family, his father or his brother, might intervene to say, "Look, we understand what you're probably dealing with. We know some of what you're dealing with because we witnessed the behaviours. We're concerned about you. You're dealing with a narcissist and you need to get out." Is Harry at the point whereby he could be rescued? The short answer is no. He's not ready. Whilst there are those that undoubtedly know what she is, and now, as a consequence of expert advice, know what that means and what comes with it, the fact is that if they attempted to extricate Harry from this relationship now, he would just see it through his distorted lens of them being troublemakers and interfering in something they don't understand. Such is the extent to which he has been brainwashed by her to be told that this is the right life for him, and the life that he came from was not the one that he thought it was, that he was once trapped and now he has freedom. Furthermore, there may be part of Harry starting to realise that he's burned too many bridges, and therefore he might fear that if he was to leave and to go back, that he might be punished for what he said about his family, and therefore he's reluctant to do so, thinking that perhaps those initial open arms will turn into a death grip. Harry naturally loves his wife. There's also the issue with regard to the children. Assuming they do exist, then in the circumstances he would be unwilling to depart, wanting to ensure that he was there to have some involvement with them. But the fact is, Harry's brainwashing is so extensive that the fact that he's isolated from any positive influence by way of friends and family, that he is so mired within his emotional thinking and the manipulations that she engages, that any rescue attempt would not only fail, but it would drive him further into an entrenched position alongside her. She would use it against the interveners. "Look, Harry, see how they're trying to drive us apart? I told you that they never liked us. Look, Harry, see how they're causing problems for us." Harry has a particular view that has been created by her, and any rescue attempt would just play into the narrative that she has woven. He simply is not ready to be rescued. The opportunity for Harry to wake up will unfortunately come at a considerable cost. It will be at the point of disengagement, when she kicks him to one side and he's lost, or when he suffers some form of mental health breakdown as a consequence of the sustained devaluation that he's experiencing. It is clear that he is not a well man, and there is a risk that he could go under, and that would prompt her to jettison him also, a double whammy of an absence of emotional empathy occasioned by having no sympathy for the situation that he finds himself in, becoming unwell, and then, because he's of no use to her, getting rid of him. It is at this point that Harry is more susceptible to a successful rescue attempt. But whilst he remains in the relationship with her, whilst he remains in the sustained devaluation, notwithstanding the fact that it is a problem for him, his level of emotional thinking and the extent of the manipulations and his isolation from so many people means that any rescue attempt at this juncture will be doomed to failure. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.